She called the cops because I locked my gate, said her right to my land trumped my life. By sundown, half the county was picking sides in a war I never wanted. The Montana sky burned crimson that evening, like it knew the storm brewing on my ranch. I'm Jack Harlan, third-generation owner of Harlan's Rest, 400 acres of rolling hills and stubborn dreams. My family's blood and sweat are woven into this land, cattle trails worn deep, fences mended through blizzards, and a quiet pride that kept us going when the world turned its back. But Karen Whitaker didn't care about any of that. To her, my ranch was just another Instagram backdrop, a stage for her curated life, and she'd burn it all down before admitting she was wrong. It started 3 months ago. Innocent enough. Karen, a city transplant with a permagrin and a yoga retreat vibe, bought the old Miller place next door. She'd roll up in her gleaming SUV, blasting pop music, her friends spilling out with selfie sticks and kombucha bottles. They'd trespass onto my land, tramping through my pastures, spooking my cattle, leaving plastic bottles and yoga mats in their wake. I'd find their trash tangled in sagebrush, their footprints in my irrigation ditches. At first, I let it slide, new neighbors. I figured, just clueless. I'd wave, ask them to stick to their side. Karen would laugh, toss her hair, and say, "Oh, Jack, it's just nature. We're all sharing it, right?" But sharing wasn't her style. By June, her crew was treating my ranch like their personal playground. They'd climb my fences, picnic by my creek, even set up a meditation circle in my alfalfa field, trampling a season's crop. I'd had enough. One morning, I caught her friend, some influencer with a man bun, flying a drone over my herd, sending them stampeding. A calf broke its leg in the chaos. That was the line. I drove to her place, calm as I could manage, and told her, "Stay off my land." Next time, I'm locking the gate. Her smile vanished. "You can't just close nature." "Jack," she snapped, like I'd stolen her birthright. "This is Montana. It's for everyone." I pointed out her property line, 200 acres of her own she barely touched. She didn't blink. "My friends need space for their wellness journey. You don't get to gatekeep freedom." I walked away, head shaking, figuring she'd cool off. She didn't. The next week, I padlocked the main gate. It's a simple chain link, nothing fancy, just enough to keep my cattle in and her chaos out. By noon, Karen was at my doorstep, red-faced, screaming about access rights and community spirit. I told her to read her deed my land, my rules. She stormed off, promising I'd regret it. I thought she was bluffing. Then the sheriff's SUV rolled up. Deputy Sarah Klein, a friend since high school, stepped out, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. "Jack," Karen called 911, "says you're violating her property rights by locking that gate." I laughed. Bitter. Her rights. She's been trampling mine for months. Sarah sighed, adjusting her hat. "She's claiming it's a public easement. Says her lawyer's on it. Just don't escalate." "All right," I nodded, but my gut churned. This wasn't about a gate. It was about Karen's ego, her need to win, and I was the obstacle. Word spread fast in our small town of Elkwood. By evening, the local diner was buzzing, half the folks calling Karen entitled, the other half saying I was a grumpy hermit hoarding land. My hired hand, Miguel, a quiet guy who'd worked for me a decade, just shook his head. "She's trouble, boss. Seen her type in California. They don't stop." He was right. Karen didn't just want access, she wanted control. She escalated. Her friends started a social media campaign. Free Harlan's Rest, painting me as some greedy rancher blocking public land. Never mind that it's private property, paid for with my family's sweat. Posts went viral, racking up thousands of likes from people who'd never set foot in Montana. Strangers started showing up, cutting my fences, leaving hate notes nailed to my posts, Share the land. Asshole. One night, someone spray-painted Karen's right on my barn. I scrubbed it off, knuckles raw, anger boiling. This was my home, my legacy, and she was turning it into a circus. I tried reasoning with her one last time. Drove to her place, a modern glass monstrosity that looked like it belonged in L.A., not Montana. She met me on her porch, arms crossed, a smirk playing on her lips. Jack, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Open the gate, and we're good. I laid it out her trespassing, the damage, the calf. She didn't flinch. You're overreacting. My friends are harmless. They're just living their truth. I stared, dumbfounded. This isn't about truth, Karen. It's about respect. She laughed, sharp and cold. Respect you're the one chaining up nature like it's your prison? That night, I couldn't sleep. My wife, Ellie, gone 2 years from cancer, used to say, "Some fights choose you, Jack. Don't run." I wasn't running, but I was tired. The ranch was all I had left. Her memory lived in every fence post, every sunrise over the hills. Karen didn't just want my land. She wanted to erase that. I wasn't letting her. By July, it was war. Karen's lawyer sent a cease and desist, claiming my gate blocked a historic easement. Bullshit, my family's owned this land since 1920, no easement ever recorded. I hired my own lawyer, a grizzled old-timer named Hank, who called her bluff. She's got no case, Jack, but she's got money and spite. Brace yourself. Meanwhile, her crew got bolder, sneaking in at night, cutting more fences, even stealing a water pump. My cattle wandered, my crops suffered, and my bank account dwindled from legal fees. Miguel and I patrolled the property, shotguns in hand, not because we wanted trouble, but because we didn't trust Karen's mob. The breaking point came on a sweltering August afternoon. I just fixed another cut fence when Karen's SUV roared up, followed by a news van. She'd called a local station, spinning her tale of the oppressed neighbor versus the tyrannical rancher. She stood by my gate, waving papers, shouting for the camera. "This man's locking us out of our community. We deserve access," her friends chanted, holding signs, "Free the land." I stepped out, heart pounding, and faced her. "This is my home. Karen, you don't get to rewrite my life for your selfies." The crowd hushed. Her eyes narrowed. Venomous. "You're selfish, Jack. This land belongs to everyone." I laughed, loud enough to startle her. "Belongs to everyone. Tell that to my grandfather, who broke his back for it. Tell it to my wife, who loved it till her last breath." The reporter looked uneasy, sensing the truth. Karen didn't. She stepped closer, voice low. "You'll lose, Jack. I always win." That's when the sheriff's car pulled up again. Sarah climbed out, face grim. "Karen, step back." "Jack, we've got a problem." She held up a court order, fresh from Karen's lawyer, demanding I unlock the gate pending a hearing. My stomach dropped. "Sarah, this is my land." She nodded, eyes soft. "I know, but you've got to comply for now." Karen smirked, triumphant. I wanted to scream, to fight, but I unlocked the gate, chain clattering to the ground. Her friends cheered like they'd won a war. I felt like I'd lost one. That night, alone in my kitchen, I stared at Ellie's old coffee mug, chipped but hers. I'd failed her, failed the ranch. Karen's victory lap was just beginning. She was planning a community festival on my land, inviting her followers to reclaim it. I could have given up, sold out, walked away, but Ellie's voice echoed, "Don't run." So I didn't. I called Hank, Miguel, and a few neighbors who still had my back. We'd fight legally, publicly, whatever it took. Karen wanted a war, she'd get one. The next morning, I woke to tires crunching gravel. Miguel burst in, face pale. "Boss, you gotta see this." Outside, Karen's crew was back, but not for yoga. They'd brought trucks, tents, and a goddamn stage, setting up on my pasture like it was Coachella. A banner read, "Karen's Freedom Fest." My blood ran cold. This wasn't just trespassing, it was invasion. I grabbed my phone, called Sarah, and started recording. If Karen wanted to play dirty, I'd play smarter. I stood frozen, phone trembling in my hand, as Karen's crew swarmed my pasture like locusts. Tents popped up, their neon colors clashing with the soft greens of my land. Music blared some techno nonsense that spooked my cattle into a restless huddle. A guy in a tie-dye shirt was hammering stakes for a healing crystal grid right where my irrigation line ran. I wanted to charge out, rip it all down, but Miguel grabbed my arm. "Jack, don't. They're baiting you. One swing, and you're the bad guy." He was right, but every stake in my soil felt like a knife in my chest. Sarah's sheriff SUV rolled up 10 minutes later, lights off but her face all business. Karen was already strutting toward her, waving that court order like a flag. "See? Sheriff, he can't stop us. This is public access now." Her voice was syrupy, performative, her friends nodding like a cult. Sarah scanned the paper, then looked at me, her eyes saying what her badge wouldn't. "This is bullshit." "Jack." "Karen," she said, voice flat. "This order says you can cross the gate, not turn his ranch into Woodstock." Karen's smile faltered, but she doubled down. "We're celebrating community. It's our right." Sarah didn't blink. "You've got till sundown to clear this. No structures, no events, no nonsense." I thought that'd be the end of it. But Karen wasn't one for backing down. She turned to her crowd, maybe 20 of them now, and raised her fists. "We're staying. This is our land too." Her friends cheered, some filming, others unpacking more gear. Sarah radioed for backup, her jaw tight. "Jack, and stay calm. I'll handle it." But calm was a distant memory. My land, Ellie's land, was being gutted, and I was supposed to stand there and take it. By noon, the scene was chaos. 2 more deputies arrived, trying to reason with Karen's crew, who'd now set up a protest zone with signs calling me a land hoarder. A news van circled back, the same reporter from yesterday eating it up. I spotted Karen posing for the camera, tears in her eyes fake as her tan. "This rancher's tearing our community apart," she sobbed. The reporter lapped it up, but the locals weren't buying it. Old Mrs. Carter from the diner drove by, leaning out her truck window to yell, "Get off Jack's land, you leeches!" A few ranchers honked in support, and for a moment, I felt less alone. But Karen was relentless. By afternoon, her Freedom Fest had drawn a crowd, some locals, curious or bored, but mostly her online followers, bussed in from God knows where. They trampled my fences, their boots churning my pasture into mud. A guy with a megaphone was chanting, "Open the land. Open your heart." I wanted to open his skull, but Miguel kept me grounded. "We fight this in court, boss, not with fists." Hank, my lawyer, was already working, filing an emergency injunction to void Karen's court order. "She's got no case, Jack, but she's got money and spite. Brace yourself." So I documented everything. My phone was full of videos, tents crushing my grass, trash piling up, my cattle panicking as drones buzzed overhead. Miguel and I worked fast, repairing what we could, but it was like bailing out a sinking ship with a teaspoon. Then came the gut punch. I found one of my calves, a sweet little heifer I'd named Daisy after Ellie's favorite flower, tangled in a discarded yoga mat, her leg broken. She was bawling, eyes wide with pain. I knelt beside her, stroking her flank, my throat tight. "I'm sorriest, girl." I whispered, knowing we'd have to put her down. Miguel looked away, his fist clenched. This is war. Jack, she's killing us. That night, I sat in my kitchen, Daisy's loss heavy on my chest. I pulled out Ellie's old journal, her neat handwriting a lifeline. This land is our heart. Jack, fight for it, but don't lose yourself. I wasn't sure who I was anymore, rancher, victim, or fool for thinking I could win. But giving up wasn't an option. I called a meeting with my allies Miguel, Hank, Sarah, and a few neighbors who'd pledged to help. We gathered in my barn, the air thick with hay dust and resolve. Karen's not stopping, I said. She's got money, lawyers, and a mob. We need a plan. Sarah spoke first. Her court order's shaky, but she's got a judge in her pocket. We're pushing for a hearing next week. Till then, keep recording her damage. Hank nodded. I'm filing for trespassing and vandalism. Her festival is a goldmine of evidence. Miguel, usually quiet, leaned forward. We need the town. Jack, most folks hate her guts. Get 'em on our side. He was right. Elkwood was small, tight-knit, and Karen's City Slicker Act wasn't winning hearts. We decided to rally the community, expose her lies, and hit back hard. The next day, I drove to town, heart pounding but determined. At the diner, I stood on a chair, feeling like a fool but fueled by anger. You all know me. I started, voice rough. Harlan's Rest is my home, my family's legacy. Karen Whitaker's trying to take it, calling my land public while she trashes it. I need your help. The room went quiet, then erupted. Old ranchers, shop owners, even the high school football coach pledged support. By nightfall, we had a plan a town hall to call out Karen's lies. Backed by my videos and a petition to the county, Karen didn't see it coming. Her Freedom Fest was still raging, now with food trucks and a yoga guru preaching land liberation. But Elkwood was waking up. At the town hall, we packed the community center, over 100 folks, from grizzled farmers to young moms. I showed my videos the broken fences, the trashed pastures, Daisy's limp body. Gasps filled the room. Mrs. Carter stood, shaking her fist. That woman's a plague. Jack's one of us, she ain't. The crowd roared, signing our petition to demand Karen's festival shut down. But Karen was always one step ahead. The next morning, her lawyer hit us with a new lawsuit, claiming I was harassing her by inciting the town. She'd twisted my town hall into a hate campaign, demanding $100,000 in damages. Hank laughed when he read it. She's desperate. Jack, this is a scare tactic. But it worked. Some neighbors backed off, scared of legal trouble. My savings were draining, the ranch bleeding money. I started to wonder if Karen was right, she always won. Then came the fire. Late that night, Miguel woke me, shouting, "Fire! Boss!" The north pasture I ran out, the acrid smell hitting me before I saw the flames. A corner of my land was burning, dry grass fueling a blaze that threatened my barn. Miguel and I fought it with hoses and shovels, neighbors rushing to help. By dawn, we'd saved the barn, but 10 acres were ash. The fire chief, a grim-faced guy named Tom, pulled me aside. This wasn't lightning. Jack found a gas can nearby. Arson? My stomach twisted. Karen, her crew. No proof, but the timing stank. Sarah launched an investigation, but Karen played innocent, posting online about praying for Jack's loss. Her followers ate it up, sending me hate messages, karma for locking the land. I was done playing nice. I marched to her festival, camera rolling, and confronted her in front of her crowd. You call this community, I shouted, pointing to the scorched horizon. You're burning my home. Her face went pale, but she recovered fast. I had nothing to do with that. Jack, you're paranoid. The crowd murmured, some doubting her now. I saw a crack in her armor. The hearing was days away, and we were ready. Hank had mountains of evidence, my videos, witness statements, even the gas can, which had prints the sheriff was testing. The town was behind me, their petition now 300 signatures strong. But Karen wasn't done. The night before the hearing, she threw a final punch, a viral video claiming I'd attacked her at the festival, edited to make me look unhinged. It spread like wildfire, and by morning, my inbox was flooded with threats. Miguel found me staring at my phone, numb. Don't let her win. Boss, he said. The morning of the hearing, Elkwood's courthouse was a circus. News vans lined the street, their antennas jutting like vultures circling a corpse. Karen's followers, now numbering in the dozens, waved signs proclaiming land for all, while locals countered with their own Save Harlan's Rest. I walked through the chaos, Miguel at my side, his jaw set like he was ready to throw punches. Inside, the courtroom buzzed with tension, the air thick with whispers and the creak of old wooden benches. Karen sat at the plaintiff's table, her lawyer a slick city type named Preston flipping through papers with a smug grin. Hank, my lawyer, gave me a nod. We've got this. Jack. Her case is smoke and mirrors. The judge, a stern woman named Clara Holt, banged her gavel. She wasn't one for nonsense, but Karen's money had already muddied the waters. Preston stood, launching into a speech about community rights and historic easements, waving that flimsy court order like it was gospel. He painted Karen as a saint, a victim of my hostile gatekeeping. I clenched my fists, nails biting into my palms. Hank leaned over, whispering, "Let him talk. He's digging her grave." When it was our turn, Hank didn't hold back. He presented my videos, hours of footage showing Karen's crew trashing my land, spooking my cattle, and turning my pasture into a festival ground. He showed photos of Daisy, my lost calf, her broken leg tangled in that damn yoga mat. The courtroom went silent, even Karen's supporters shifting uncomfortably. Then came the fire evidence, the gas can, the arson report, and a grainy security clip from my barn camera showing a hooded figure near the north pasture that night. No face, no proof it was Karen, but the implication hung heavy. Hank closed with the petition, 300 signatures strong, proving Elkwood stood with me. "This isn't about access," he said, voice booming. "It's about a woman weaponizing entitlement to destroy a man's livelihood." Karen took the stand next, and I'll give her this, she was a performer. She dabbed her eyes, voice trembling, claiming she only wanted harmony and shared spaces. She called me a bully, said my gate divided the community, but Judge Holt wasn't buying the tears. "Ms. Whitaker," she said, sharp, "your festival caused thousands in damages." "Explain that," Karen stammered, blaming her followers, saying she couldn't control them. Preston tried to redirect, but the damage was done. Her story was cracking. The hearing stretched into the afternoon, with witnesses piling on. Mrs. Carter testified about Karen's arrogance at the diner, how she'd bragged about owning this town. Miguel spoke quietly but powerfully, describing the endless repairs, the stress, Daisy's death. Even Sarah, bound by her badge, testified about the 911 calls, confirming Karen's complaints were baseless. By the time I took the stand, the room felt electric. I didn't sugarcoat it. "This ranch is my life," I said, voice steady despite the lump in my throat. "My wife's memory lives here. Karen's not just taking my land, she's taking my heart." I saw a few jurors wipe their eyes. Karen just stared, cold as stone. Judge Holt adjourned for deliberation, promising a ruling by morning. Outside, the crowd was a powder keg. Karen's followers chanted, but the locals drowned them out, their voices raw with loyalty to one of their own. I felt a spark of hope, but it flickered when I got home. My mailbox was stuffed with hate letters, some threatening worse than fire. Karen's viral video had done its job. Half the internet thought I was a monster. I sat in my kitchen, Ellie's journal open, her words blurring through my tears. Fight, but don't lose yourself. I wasn't sure I could do both. That night, Miguel stayed over, sensing I shouldn't be alone. We sat on the porch, shotguns across our laps, the stars mocking us with their calm. Boss, he said, breaking the silence. You think she started that fire? I didn't know. The gas can's prints were inconclusive, but my gut screamed her name. If she did, I said, she's not just entitled, she's dangerous. We didn't sleep, just watched the horizon, waiting for dawn or disaster. The ruling came at 9 a.m. Judge Holt's voice was steel. No easement existed. My gate was legal, and Karen's festival was trespassing. She ordered her to pay $20,000 for damages and issued a restraining order. Her crew couldn't set foot on my land. The courtroom erupted, locals cheering, Karen's face a mask of fury. Preston whispered in her ear, probably plotting an appeal. But for now, I'd won. I hugged Hank, Miguel, even Sarah, who cracked a rare smile. Told you, Jack. Justice ain't dead, but victory tasted bitter. Karen didn't leave quietly. Her Freedom Fest packed up, but not before her crew trashed what was left of my pasture. Broken bottles, torn tents, even human waste smeared across my fences. The $20,000 wouldn't cover half the repairs, and my cattle were still spooked, my crops ruined. Worse, her online mob didn't stop. The hate messages kept coming, now with death threats. One read, burn it all down next time. I showed it to Sarah, who promised to investigate, but I saw the worry in her eyes. Karen's war wasn't over. A week later, I got a call from Tom, the fire chief. Jack, we got a lead. That hooded figure. A kid from Karen's crew, 19, confessed to the fire. Says she paid him $500. My blood ran cold. Karen wasn't just entitled, she was criminal. The kid was in custody, but Karen had vanished. Her glass house locked up, her SUV gone. Sarah tracked her to Seattle, where she was hiding with friends, claiming persecution. Her lawyer stalled, saying she'd fight extradition. I wasn't surprised. Karen always ran when the heat turned up. The town rallied to help me rebuild. Neighbors brought tools, food, even cash to replace lost crops. Mrs. Carter organized a fundraiser at the diner, raising enough to fix my irrigation line. Miguel worked overtime, his loyalty fiercer than ever. But the ranch felt hollow. Every broken fence, every scorched patch was a reminder of what I'd lost, not just money, but peace. Ellie's memory was supposed to live here, in the quiet hills, the grazing cattle. Now it was tainted by Karen's greed, her need to conquer. I started getting calls from developers, smelling blood. Sell. Jack, they'd say. This land's a liability now. They offered millions, enough to walk away. Start over. I thought of Ellie, her hand in mine as we'd watch sunsets from this porch. Could I leave? Could I let Karen win? Even indirectly one night, I found her old sketchbook, filled with drawings of the ranch cattle, fences, the gate she'd loved. Tucked inside was a note. This is us. Jack. Hold on. I broke down, sobbing like I hadn't since her funeral. I couldn't sell. Not now. Not ever. But the fight wasn't over. Karen's appeal loomed, her lawyer claiming the kid lied about the fire. Her online followers kept the pressure on, doxing my address, sending more threats. Sarah warned me to stay vigilant. Karen had money, connections, and no shame. I fortified the ranch, installing new cameras, stronger fences, even a guard dog named Rusty, a mutt with a bark that could wake the dead. Miguel and I took shifts, watching for trouble. The town kept watch too, their loyalty my only shield. One evening, As I repaired the gate again, I saw a figure in the distance. Not Karen, but one of her friends, the man bun influencer from months ago. He didn't approach, just stood there, filming. I stared him down, my shotgun leaning against the fence. He left, but the message was clear. Karen's shadow still hung over me. I realized then that this wasn't just about land. It was about power, about who gets to decide what's theirs. Karen thought she could take mine because she had money, a lawyer, a mob. But I had something she didn't: roots, a legacy, a reason to fight. The ranch is still here, scarred but standing. I'm still here, battered but unbroken. Karen's out there, scheming, but I'm not running. This land is my heart, my home, my Ellie. If you're reading this, stand up for what's yours before someone like Karen tries to take it. Fight for your roots, your truth, your heart.